What's up everybody, Trinity here, and welcome back to the Second Street Marvel. In today's video, I'm going to be reviewing and talking about House of X, issue number 6. Now before I get into that, please make sure you subscribe, click the little bell, and all of that good stuff. So, House of X, issue number 6. This is it, guys. This is the last book of this series being written by Jonathan Hickman before it goes ahead and spins off into some other series. Now, next week, of course, there is Powers of X, issue number 6 as well, that will kind of wrap all of this, how would you say, like there's reintroduction to the XMEN universe, I guess you could say, as it's going forward in the Marvel universe. I don't know, it's really kind of hard to explain what's going on here, but all I can say is, I don't even need to give you guys a review. If you've been paying attention to this series, you guys already know it's great. Jonathan Hickman been doing one hell of a job writing this book, and I'll tell you, Jonathan Hickman obviously is the writer. I've mentioned that several times. The art is done by Pepe Larraz. Martha Garcia is the color artist, as well as David Curiel. And it's lettered by VC's Clayton Cowles, and Tom Mueller is the designer, and Pepe Larraz and Martha Garcia are the ones who did this particular cover that I have right here, and there are plenty of variant covers out there that you can get, and this you can see like the art there. It's kind of the same thing that you're going to get inside of this book. It's, this art and the colors are done by the same people. So anyway, House of X, issue number 6. Like I said, this is the last issue before Powers of X next week, and then it's going to be spinning off into all those different titles that are getting ready to come out, and I'm not sure how many of those I'm going to keep up with. In case you guys haven't seen here, I've kind of gone down the indie rabbit hole, so I don't know. I'm probably going to pick and choose what series out of these I'm going to read. I may pick up, the first issues of all of them. It's really hard to say, but we're here to talk about this book, issue number 6. Man, I'm telling you, okay, now first off, this book starts with basically a flashback to a month ago, which is, I would say, right about the point where this whole series kind of started off at, with Professor Xavier addressing the world. He puts on Cerebro, and he goes out and announces to the world kind of what their intentions are about wanting to establish this sovereign state of Krakoa. And be recognized as a sovereign state. He kind of gets on there and just makes this announcement to all the humans throughout the world, and stating exactly what their intentions are and what they want. He's really only got two things that he wants out of humanity, essentially, in order to basically give them all these drugs that he has that's going to help prevent like cancers, Alzheimer's, just all these debilitating illnesses, as well as help humans live a little bit longer. So all these things that have kind of helped, and we can see that he's speaking real matter of fact to humankind, pretty much saying like, hey guys, look, my dream has always been for us to all live in peace and harmony, but I've seen throughout the years that, my dream was a lie. And, he goes on, and that's when he tells them about, all the kind of things that they want to be recognized as, as the sovereign state of Krakoa and all these things. And then as well as, he, like I said, he's been real matter of fact. And he also tells them at the same time, he tells them like, look, you guys went to sleep last night thinking that, this world is yours. Well, the dream, to have this world as your future, well, your dream was a lie too. And so, like I said, he's speaking very matter of fact, and it sounds quite cold. But if you listen, to the words that he's saying and everything, you can see that he has this kind of strength and conviction to everything that he's saying. And it absolutely makes complete sense as he's telling them, like, hey, like, you guys have just pretty much, humanity has stood around while our people were slaughtered by yours, and nobody did anything about it to intervene. So that's kind of why we are going, making this this declaration and wanting these things from you guys. And again, there's only the two things that they're asking for, and those two things, I'll go ahead and tell you what they are in case you haven't been keeping up with the story. What those two things are that they want. He's gonna tell him right here off the bat is. Oh man, let's see if I can get to it here. He says, first, you must accept the island of Krakoa as a nation state of all mutants on this planet. We will happily go through the process of any newly formed nation with the UN, but there is also the expectation that our sovereignty will be recognized. And he says the second is that all mutants by birth can claim Krakoan citizenship. And with that citizenship, we expect a period of amnesty so that those who have been singled out as criminals or punished and imprisoned by humans can overcome man's bias against mutants. And two simple things that he's asking, and I've got to be honest with you, the things that all the mutants have been through throughout their history, that's not really asking much, especially in what they're giving in return. And then we see, in the last issue, we got to see kind of all the blanked out names who are going to be the Quiet Council of Krakoa, who are going to be the ones sitting at the head of their government. And right here at the beginning, we get kind of all those people's names except for one. There's one person that's not named in here, and it's actually one person that I don't remember seeing here in the book. So I'm guessing that's what's going to be coming in Powers of X issue number 6. And like I said, I think it was last week when I was saying that I think that Powers of X, the last one where it's kind of been jumping back and forth between all the, between the past, present, and future. I guess mostly current times, the present, future, and future, and future. Anyway, I'm guessing that Powers of X issue number 6 is where they're all going to kind of intersect and meet. And I honestly, after reading this issue, I can't wait to see how that's going to go off with a bang. But there is some other things here that I don't believe that they touched on as far as this Quiet Council. They have this other thing called the Great Captains, and it shows who's in charge of those as well. That's just some people who are in charge when they decide that they actually have to go on missions and different things like that. Very good. And in case you guys haven't been paying attention here, I'll go ahead and show you. There's some of the art in this book. Like I said, it's been really great. If you guys haven't been reading it, if you haven't been reading it, I'm not sure what you're here doing watching this video. Get out and read these books, man. I'm telling you, it's so great. This series is so great, and you guys know, like I kind of when I was a kid, I liked the X-Men and everything, but this series, my God, this series has really gotten me into this and seeing what they're doing. And what else we seen in the last issues, when they were bringing Emma Frost in into the mix to help them form the government for Krakoa. That's exactly what's going on here in this book right here. Is they get all the people together who are going to be setting on this this first council of the government of Krakoa, and they come together to kind of form the first laws. And I'll go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and spoil these laws for you. If you don't want to know what they are, just go ahead and click ahead, maybe about 10 seconds or so. But those are: 1 is to make more mutants. 2 is to murder no man, and that goes for humanity, not necessarily mutants. And respect this sacred land, and that land being Krakoa. And I'll go ahead and flash those for you right there, there on the screen. 3 simple rules, the 3 simple laws that they start off with. And in case you haven't been paying attention, there's already somebody that has broken some of these laws. And if you haven't been paying attention, you already know. I'll just tell you right now. I'm going to spoil it. I'm going to spoil it again. That's Victor Creed, and that's kind of what's bringing all this together. They bring him into this court, if you will, to be judged. And this is kind of where it got a little bit harsh. Victor Creed's, he's been a pretty ruthless dude throughout his entire history. And we've seen the things that he done in the other issues. I believe that was in House of X issue number 1, and I don't know, was that in House of X issue number 1 or number 2? It seems like it's been so long since you've read these, and these things have been coming out week after week, and just everything that's been going on these issues, it's been such a head trip. So that's why it's kind of hard to kind of put out there and just remember exactly what issues it was in. But Victor Creed goes to face this trial of his peers there on in Krakoa, and he's basically the first person that is going to be sentenced here. And I've got to tell you, the whole scene leading up to it, man, it was pretty climactic. I mean, I kind of got emotional reading it. It was pretty hard and harsh to read. And after they go ahead and go through this judgment and with the punishment, we can see, and there's obviously something that's going to be coming out of this in a future series. I can almost guarantee you, if not the next issue, but I have a feeling it's going to be somewhere down the line. We kind of see that Xavier goes on and gives a little speech to the rest of the council there, as he's telling them look, guys, this is hard. We don't want to get used to this. We don't want this to become something that we get used to, that we get comfortable with, that we look forward to. If we ever get to that point, I mean, basically we're jaded, and it's not a good thing. They're all kind of sitting around none of them, I don't think any of these people that are here on this council are really filled with any kind of regret of what they have just done. Like I said, it weighed really heavy. I mean, it was a really heavy issue in that sense. And you can see, like I said, they all kind of not necessarily regret it, but know that it seems really heavy, and they're not really liking the fact that they had to do it. While there are some on the council who had absolutely no problem with it all. And after that, they go ahead, after they get done with their judgment and the sentencing, and carrying that out, they go ahead and basically they go out into the nation of Krakoa, and they all have, there's just a big old party going on as all the mutants are finally home. They finally have a place that they can call their own, where they can be safe without the judgment and the scrutiny or anything like that from mankind. And we can see that they're all having a big party. We get to see as all of they're just all getting together and just having fun and being with each other. And now we know, obviously, at some point, they're not always gonna all get along. And that's something that was kind of funny as they were sitting there on the council getting ready to judge Victor Creed, is you could see that they're some of these people obviously have a lot of animosity towards each other. Some of them just have problems and don't like each other. And at the same time, they do interject some humor in there as well. Altogether, I've got to say, I really did like exactly what was going on in this issue. Again, it weighed really heavy, but the way it ended, it kind of ended on a really lighthearted note as well. So altogether, guys, this series has been really great. Especially after reading this book, I'm really gonna see. It's gonna be sad to see this all come to an end. Especially as much as I've liked it, and like I said, I've never really been huge on X-Men, but this, man, this has really got me, man. This is like a tale for the ages, man. This is writing done right. This is just really well written, doing this, and then they go and they show us a lot of and I believe they showed some of these in one of the other books. The sovereign nation of Krakoa. There's one there, and then it gives us a little bit more here of the Pacific Island. They had the Atlantic was the last one I showed you. This is the Pacific side, and then it's got all this list here of what all the numbers here mean on all of these different designations throughout Krakoa. And one of them looks like it's a transit place. And however, I want to point this out, and I'm sure we all know what this is if you've been paying attention to the series. Right here is number 18. Number 18 right here, you can kind of see it's a black dotted outline where there's one, and then you come down here to number 18 on the list, and you can see that it's not listed of exactly what part of the nation of Krakoa that this is. And obviously, if you paid attention to the last issue, you know exactly what it is. It's gonna be it seems like it's gonna be that underwater I guess you would say safe haven on Krakoa for Namor and all his people. So altogether, guys, like I said, this issue was really great. And in case you've been deciphering any of these things, here on the back, we know that it says last, the next is House of X. And I don't know, man, guys, if you guys haven't been paying attention to the series, something you guys have already missed out on. It'll probably soon be on trade paperback. It's going to end up next week. Maybe next weekend I can see if I can get somebody here on the channel and we can just have a big old nerdy discussion about this whole thing that's gone down, because I'm telling you guys, it has been absolutely epic. If you haven't been reading it, you need to head out to your local comic shop, pick up any of the reprints they've done, because I'm sure they've already sold out. So get any of the second prints, third prints, whatever they're coming out with. Get out and see them. If you don't have access to a local comic book shop, get on Comixology, get on Marvel.com, whatever you have to do to read these books. They have been absolutely great. But let me know down in the comments below, have you been following this series? If so, what have you thought about it so far? That's all I have for this video today, folks. Thank you all so much for tuning into the Second Street Marvel. If you haven't already, please make sure you're subscribed and click that little bell so you get notifications anytime I have uploaded new content. And if If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you don't, give it a thumbs down. It's all good. But while you're at it, make sure you share it with a friend and invite them to come hang out with us here on the 2nd Street Marvel. You all have a very good day. Happy reading. Get out and support your local comic book shop, and we'll see you in the next video. Later.